Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight. A shortage of critical care staff could limit the Bahamas' ability to respond to the COVID-19 threat, according to the health minister. Meanwhile, Atlantis asking its employees to take vacation or unpaid leave. Bahamas Carnival among a list of events postponed, plus a pair charged with causing a toddler's death.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joachim. Topping news tonight, a shortage of critical care staff could limit the Bahamas' ability to respond to the COVID-19 threat, according to Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands, who said today that insufficient staff numbers is more problematic than insufficient equipment. He said a limiting factor is critical care staff, in particular, critical care nurses.
Because you cannot manage a patient just on a ventilator. You need somebody to manage that patient. And so the challenge that the Bahamas faces is less an issue of mechanical equipment and more an issue of a chronic shortage of skilled nurses.
He added that the challenge the Bahamas faces is a chronic shortage of skilled nurses, adding there is no cavalry to save the day. Meanwhile, the 61-year-old woman who became the country's first case of the coronavirus over the weekend remains in quarantine in hospital in stable condition, according to Sands. Meanwhile, 8 people are currently under quarantine. It's unclear if any of those persons are relatives of the woman.
What's going to help is if we say that as Bahamians, residents and citizens, that we are going to help each other to get through this. That failure, collapse is not an option.
Well, Atlantis has asked its employees to voluntarily take earned vacation days or 2 weeks of unpaid leave effective immediately as it seeks to shoulder the burden brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. In a memo to employees today, Atlantis Senior Vice President of Human Resources Karen Carey said, "It is now essential and important for us to make changes and take further steps to help us all manage through this as situations evolve." She encouraged employees to speak with their manager today and confirm their dates. The memo reads, "We want you to feel absolutely confident that we are doing our best to shoulder the burden of our operations to secure our future and to lessen the burden that this situation imposes on you." Ed Fields, a consultant with Atlantis, said it's too early to tell how many employees will be impacted by this new policy, as Atlantis is still awaiting the final number of volunteers. Well, today is the last day some cruise ships will be in port as U.S. cruise lines suspend business. Meanwhile, those cruise ships that will remain in port won't have any passengers on them. Taxi cab drivers and vendors in Festival Place fear the effects of this could be devastating. Von Toot reports.
The ships that you see behind us right now, all with the exception of one, it'll be their last arrival here in Nassau for that 30-day window.
Nassau's cruise port and the downtown area will soon have a lot less activity following an announcement by U.S. President Donald Trump that major U.S. cruise lines will suspend outbound cruises for 30 days. Carnival Cruise Lines, Norwegian Cruise Line, MSC Cruises, Disney Cruise Line, and Royal Caribbean have all announced plans to suspend their cruise itineraries amid the novel coronavirus pandemic. Nassau Cruise Port Chief Executive Mike Morris says they fully expect to have ships in performing maintenance, but they won't have any passengers on them.
When they're not in operation, they need to have places to basically park. And so we will find that we're going to have ships using our berths, and what you'll have on board that ship won't be passengers, but it'll be a small complement of crew just to keep the ship in order and so forth. We would expect that, and it is anticipated that we're going to find that ships are rotating in and out.
It's a scary thought for President of the Bahamas Taxi Cab Union, Wesley Ferguson, who says they have already seen a drop in business and it will only get worse over the next 30 days.
This will be devastating on the taxi drivers, especially those who operate here from the Prince George dock. And of course, we rely heavily on the cruise ship arrival.
There is also a sense of uncertainty among Festival Place workers who rely on cruise ship passengers to make a living. President of the Festival Place Tenants Association, Yvette Prince, says for them, 30 days is a long time to go without an income.
This is our only means of income, and for us it means zero income because our our customers are from the cruise ship, so most people don't have another income for the next 30 days. Hopefully it blows over quickly.
When our news visited the port area today, tourists milled about after disembarking from the few cruise ships still in port, like Regent, Serenade of the Seas, Norwegian Cruise Lines, and Celebrity Cruises.
Good morning. How you doing, ma'am? What you got planned for today?
Taxi drivers did all they could to pick up the last group of cruise passengers.
Anybody else want a taxi today? You want to go to a nice kid-friendly beach?
Ferguson says taxi drivers are praying the situation doesn't last long.
Very optimistic that this will not last for a very long period of time because, this is going to hit home basically in their pockets. And it's going to have a devastating effect on the economy and, of course, their income.
This is a very challenging time, and I guess the first time in the history of all of our lives. And 30 days is a long time that the cruise industry has been suspended, but we're trying to operate from a position of being faithful and not from a position of fear.
As a result of the halted cruise business, Morris says the Nassau Cruise Port will be scaling down its security presence.
Just in terms of the number of people that we have around, because obviously there's a direct relationship between whether you're handling 20,000 passengers in a day or whether you have 5 ships or 6 ships that may only have a few hundred crew.
Mora predicted that the Bahamas will climb out of this slump much faster than other markets. In the meantime, he says, Nassau Cruise Port's $250 million construction plan will not stop.
COVID-19 doesn't stop demolition of buildings and those types of things. Are we going to work smarter and different in terms of our social interface with people and protocols? Yes, we are, right? But we can still advance the project.
Reporting for our News, I'm Vonique Jude.
The United Kingdom, Ireland, and Europe have been added to the government's restricted travel list as Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis last night declared that the Bahamas is facing a national threat. During a live televised address to the nation, Minnis said, as of Thursday, foreigners with recent travel to those countries will not be allowed to enter the country.
All Bahamian nationals and residents returning to the Bahamas through any point of entry from any of the restricted countries or an area where community infection and spread is present will be quarantined or be placed under self-isolation upon arrival and are expected to follow the protocols of the Ministry of Health.
The Prime Minister said a medical facility on Blake Road has been designated for the treatment of people who test positive for COVID-19.
Those treating patients will utilize various protocols to protect themselves. This facility will be secured by our own defense force. No visitors will be allowed into the facility unless authorized.
In other news, a mother and her teen boyfriend were charged in the magistrate's court this afternoon in connection with the death of a 1-year-old girl. Giorgio Bain has more.
A 17-year-old boy of Hartswell, Exuma was charged with the manslaughter of 1-year-old Joyce Fluidor. The teen was charged with the child's mother, Getleeson Fleur, also of Exuma, who was charged with child neglect. It is alleged on the 8th of March, while having in their care and custody the 1-year-old, the pair did neglect the child in a manner causing suffering. According to Chief Superintendent Kevin Mortimer of the Georgetown Police Station, the toddler was brought into a local clinic unresponsive. Attempts to revive the child were unsuccessful. An investigation into the cause of death revealed that the child was suffering from severe internal damage. This resulted in the subsequent arrest of the teen and the child's mother. The pair were brought to the Capitol to face charges. The teen was not required to enter a plea to the manslaughter charge and will be remanded to the Juvenile Center in the Bahamas Department of Corrections. He returns to court on May 21, 2020 for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. The toddler's mother entered a not guilty plea to the child neglect charge and was also remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. She is expected to appear in court on Tuesday at 11 a.m. for a bail application and to receive a court date. Reporting for our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Bahamas Carnival 2020 is one of many events that have been postponed or canceled in response to the first confirmed case of the coronavirus in the Bahamas. Organizers say it's too early to give a new date.
Party done. Party done. Party done. Party done. Party done.
Whoever said party in sun or rain obviously never expected what would be the fallout from the novel coronavirus. Just days after Jamaica Carnival organizers postponed their festival, the Bahamas Carnival 2020 experience set for May 1st to 3rd was called off, meaning the feathers and good vibes will have to wait. Palantra Media rep Kenny Mackey said the decision was made after a meeting last week with the relevant stakeholders, including the Band Owners Association.
And at that meeting, there was a determination to come back with either a postponement, a new date, or some kind of, and that was before the first confirmed case. So after the first confirmed case came, it was only a matter of time before we knew what we had to do. Of course, public safety comes first, and we could party after.
For weeks, carnival bands have built a whole lot of hype around this year's festival, which has gotten a lot of traction internationally. However, Mackey said in keeping with the advice of the Ministry of Health, the team realized there was no other option.
Gives us more time to prepare, gives people time to, of course, protect themselves. And again, like I indicated, it'd be irresponsible for us to try to come out there right now, even though it's in May, and we still have time before that time. We need people to be care and concern about themselves and their families first.
There is no confirmed new date for the festival, as Mackey says they are monitoring the pandemic and what's happening around the world. But Bahamas Carnival is just one of many events postponed locally upon the instruction of government through this notice from the Bahamas Public Parks and Beaches Authority, which read, "The authority, in consideration of public health concerns, wishes to advise the Bahamian public that both existing permits for organized public gatherings and the issuance of any further permits are suspended effective immediately until further notice." The Royal Bahamas Police Force today announced the postponement of its mini tattoos and other events planned for Police Month, in addition to all local carnival groups calling off their events for the coming weeks. Another big event impacted, the Bahamas Bridal Show, which for the first time in 31 years has been postponed.
Having to deal with all 50 exhibitors, they are all disappointed as well, but they understand that this is a must-do. And so we've sent messages to all of them, letting them know about the postponement of the show. And of course they understand, because they don't want to subject their staff and themselves to this virus.
While no new date has been set for Bahamas Carnival or the Bridal Show as yet, both organizers say the postponement doesn't mean the experience will be any less.
It won't affect the quality of the show. We believe that the show will even be bigger as people come home for the summer and after school, so we're looking for a bigger show.
But our goal is to make it as big as ever before, and probably the biggest one, because people will be looking for something to do.
Still to come, parents praise the decision to close schools. Plus, WSC suspends staff vacations for 6 weeks. Stay tuned.
On July 10, 2018, after a disappearance at his own hand, Wally Cooper gained consciousness in a very strange land.
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. The Prime Minister's announcement that all schools will close until mid-April was well received by parents. Berthany McDermott has more.
Schools will be closed immediately until April 14th.
This announcement by the Prime Minister that all schools will be closed until April 14th was met with relief by parents who raised concerns over the spread of the coronavirus after health officials confirmed the country's first case.
It's about time. We need to do it. I'm in total agreement with it.
Yes, I think the government did the right thing, because, they're kids, and, kids are carefree. You understand? We as adults, we can say, well, you know what, I don't want to touch this, or, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to shake this one out. But children are different. They're going to play and they're going to touch.
I guess so, trying to take all the necessary precautions. Kids and elderly people are the most vulnerable ones. So
Some employers, like Atlantis Resort, have encouraged employees to take their earned vacation or volunteer to take their 2 weeks of unpaid leave effective immediately, while others are making provisions for employees to work remotely. However, the challenge for these parents is finding proper adult supervision while their children are home for the next month.
I got people in place to make sure, my kids is, well taken care of.
Luckily, I work from home. So I have my kid, I have somebody else's kid. So this is a time for us to pull together.
Now, while government's decision to close school has been received well by the public, others are criticizing their response to the COVID-19 outbreak.
The same as the way they dealt with Dorian.
And how's that?
Slow, unprofessional, and not methodically.
However, these New Providence residents disagree.
I don't think we have done anything that we should not have done. I think the really test for us is going to be what we do with our borders. And that's it.
Prime Minister of the Bahamas, he's doing his best. And what I want him to do, I want him to put God in front of us and do his very best in this island diseases.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Executive Chairman of the Water and Sewage Corporation, Adrian Gibson, announced major changes in the way the company does business. That action plan includes cutting employee vacations, setting up testing facilities, and ensuring they have enough water to accommodate increased usage. Jasmine Brown reports.
That confirmed coronavirus case has prompted several changes here at WSC, where Gibson revealed all hands will be on deck. Gibson outlined the plan during a press conference at WSC's head office on University Drive, but took no questions from the media. Gibson announced that WSC was cutting vacations for the next 6 weeks. It's unclear how many employees this will impact.
All current WSC vacation is cancelled. No applications for vacation will be signed off on during this period. All WSC staff currently on vacation will be recalled.
Another important component of the corporation's COVID-19 response is the availability of water, given the fact that WSC expects a sharp increase in usage in the coming weeks.
Effective today, Monday, 16th March 2020, the New Providence operations work will focus upon maximizing the continuous availability of potable water to the residents of New Providence and the collection, treatment, and disposal of wastewater.
As for its current water levels, Gibson said this.
As it stands, tank levels, that is water storage tank levels on New Providence, are normal. Storage capacity in New Providence is nearly 40 million gallons. We have storage to maintain the island in the event of anything.
Gibson says those were just two of the key changes decided on during an early morning meeting with WSC executives on Monday.
An isolation area is being built for the industrial nurse to review persons and to refer persons for medical care. She's also in direct contact with the Ministry of Health, making arrangements for staff with all medical facilities, and standard protocols are in place.
Gibson says they're also in the process of obtaining infrared thermometers to test employees. As for those staffers on the front lines, Gibson says they will have special safety protocols. He added that the corporation has also suspended its summer student program. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, thanks, Jasmine. Still to come, Bahamians swarm stores to stock up on supplies. Stay tuned.
On July 10, 2018, after a disappearance at his own hand, Wally Cooper gained consciousness in a very strange land.
As news spread of the country's first coronavirus case, residents rushed to grocery stores to stock up on items including bread, water, and cleaning products. Over at SuperValue's Mackey Street location today, shelves were empty through the cleaning products aisle. One shopper said it was her 10th trip to the grocery store.
I get some hand sanitizer, I get some Dettol, I get some green alcohol. Every 2 to 3 minutes, you gotta wipe down your hand and wipe down your face. And no touching, especially you got people from overseas, no touching, and that's give God thanks and praises for this.
This is like my 10th trip. I've been preparing for 3 weeks now, so yeah. So at this point I'm buying for others.
Assistant store manager Ricardo Stubbs says the store is expecting another shipment of items soon so that shoppers can find the products they need.
Presently, we have a few more left, but we're expecting some within today or tomorrow, God's willing. We are doing shopping for breadbasket items, mostly hand sanitizers, Lysol, things to keep you more hygienic and safe from the virus.
And as shoppers made their way through the various aisles, cashiers donned gloves and wiped down their stations regularly. Stubbs assured customers that the store is taking measures to prevent the spread of the virus.
Well, as you notice through our entrance and exit doors, we have hand sanitizers as always. We have hand towels for the trolleys. Our staff, they're fully equipped with the hand sanitizer lotion. We have gloves, we have alcohol. We're totally prepared.
The Water and Sewage Corporation has suspended disconnections in the wake of the COVID-19 global crisis. Executive Chairman Adrian Gibson announced the decision, saying potable water is vital. Gibson said no WSC staff is authorized to disconnect any home or business at this time.
Last Friday, I directed the immediate cessation of any and all intended or proposed disconnection exercises. This decision has been made to safeguard the health and well-being of the general public. No WSC staff member is authorized to disconnect any home or building at this time. Again, all disconnections are halted until further notice.
Gibson stressed this does not mean water bills will be canceled. He added that payment options for customers having a hard time will be made available.